So this next scene I picked on the advice of my teacher after my first reading, which was at Quail Ridge in Raleigh a couple of weeks ago. And the reading went very well, but afterward, my teacher said you've got two major themes in the book. One is the segregation integration. The other is the dissolution of this family, because it's an upper class family that on the surface it looks like they got it all. They've got wealth, they've got position, etc. The father is a philanderer, the mother is beginning to find this out, and we begin to see the cracks in the underbelly of the family. She said, so you need to read a scene that shows that. So the scene here is where the grandmother comes to have dinner to stay with them for a few days, and they frantically prepare for her arrival. They being Paula, who's the mother, and Stell, who's the 16-year-old, Jubie, who's 13, and then the Mary, who's the other really important character. They dust, wash windows, vacuum, iron curtains, polish silver, scrub floors, etc. You all know the routine. At the last minute, Paula puts fresh flowers in the guest apartment over the garage where Cordelia will be staying, along with a carafe of sherry, which she knows her mother-in-law likes. So I'll just start with Meemaw's arrival. Meemaw is Cordelia Watts, Judy's father's mother, Judy's grandmother. Meemaw waddled through the breezeway, her body swaying from side to side. Mama met us at the den door and said, "Hello, Cordelia, it's so nice to have you." They touched cheeks. "I'll take your coat and hat, Miss Watts." Mary stepped from behind Mama. She had on a black uniform, a starched apron, and a stiff little hat like a dollop of whipped cream popped on her head. A maid from the movies. Without her felt cloche and wool coat, Meemaw looked soft. Her gray hair swirled into a thick bun near the crown of her head, wisps curling around her face. In the den, she sat in Daddy's platform rocker and put her feet on the ottoman. Her leather lace-ups were doll shoes on Daddy's big footstool, and her ankles were so puffed out over the tops of her shoes, I wanted to poke them. Meemaw sighed loudly. Daddy cleared his throat. "Paula, how about some coffee?" Mama called over her shoulder, "Mary, coffee please, the service." She smoothed the skirt of her amber silk. Mary came in carrying a tray with the silver service on it. She put everything down on the coffee table and backed out. I wished she'd stay. Mama poured a cup of coffee and asked Meemaw, "Cream and sugar?" Meemaw shook her head. "Don't drink it this late in the day." Mama handed the cup to Daddy. "How was your trip, Cordelia?" "It'd be nice if we got what we paid, bumping along in a train car since early this morning." Nobody said anything while Meemaw sat and rocked slightly, the reading lamp behind her, her hair shining. Daddy said, "Was your compartment okay?" "Might have been. Wish I'd been left in peace." "We booked you a private compartment." "You couldn't know they would, people just barge." Everyone waited for her to finish, but she sat there with her hands clasped across her stomach. Mama asked, "Cordelia, are you saying somebody shared your compartment?" "3 of them came in and made themselves comfortable." "Why didn't you report them to the conductor?" asked Daddy. "'Twas his idea. Train was crowded. He asked if I'd mind sharing a woman and her 2 children. Her daddy had died from his heart, so a mercy trip, you know. What can you say if you, they gave me a voucher for when I go home." She reached to the floor where she had set her pocketbook, fished around in it, and held up a paper. Daddy took it from her. "A free ticket, Mother, that's nice." I couldn't nap or read, stared out the window and cried, paid them no mind. "You were crying?" Mama said. Meemaw snorted. "The mother, not me." "Did the kids behave?" I asked. "Boy sat next to me. She just put him, kicked his feet against the seat. The girl about your age, June, hummed Tennessee Waltz and Some Enchanted Evening, not a tune in a bucket neither." "You must be worn out, Cordelia," Mama said. "Why don't we get you settled before dinner?" She turned to Daddy. "Are your mother's things still in the car?" Meemaw cleared her throat. I just got the one. Travel light. Always have. Daddy started to rise. I'll get it. Mama put a hand on his knee. No need, William. Stell, you and Jubie show your grandmother to her room. Carry her bag up for her and help her get settled. It'll be an hour and a half till dinner, Cordelia, which will give you a nice rest. Puddin' jumped up. I'm going too, Meemaw. All your granddaughters can help. Stell put out her hand for Meemaw to stand. I ran ahead. We'll get the suitcase. Come on, Puddin'. So they get up to the apartment over the garage. Meemaw settled into the sofa cushions, her eyes closed, sighing. Oh, Lord, she said, my shoelaces. Stell and Puddin' kneeled and untied the leather shoes, and I helped Meemaw stretch out. I got the plaid blanket from the ottoman and spread it over her. I think she was asleep before we were halfway down the stairs. I was combing my hair when Mama's voice floated up the stairway. This is back in the main house. Floated up the stairway, calling Puddin', Stell, and me to her bedroom. She shut the door and sat on the side of the bed, tapping a cigarette into an ashtray on the nightstand. Be on your best behavior. Use your manners. Remember about the forks. We put out all three. The spoon at the top of your place setting for dessert, said Stell. That's right, and don't get mad at Davy if he spills something. Be as good as you can be. Mama jabbed the cigarette out. Puddin' crawled into her lap and said, I'll be the goodest girl in the world. Mama kissed Puddin's blonde curls. I know you will, Puddin'. I couldn't remember Mama ever kissing me and holding me that way. Mama scooted Puddin' onto the floor and reached for the sin-sin she kept in the drawer of her nightstand. She popped one of the mints in her mouth and was spritzing herself with Old English lavender when Daddy opened the door. He had a drink in his hand. How many is that, Bill? I'm just having a toddy before we eat. Let's get along, okay? Okay, Billy boy. How can I be rude to your mother when I have no idea what she's saying? She smirked at Daddy and said, in perfect imitation of Meemaw. Stell motioned me with a jerk of her head. I took Puddin's hand and pulled her out the door. In the hallway, Stell said, Lord, help us make it through the night. We went to the living room. Stell sat on the sofa and crossed her legs at the ankles, adjusting her skirt so it covered her knees, just the sort of prissy thing she did when she was nervous. I sat in the queen chair and Puddin' squeezed in with me. Mary lit the candles on the dinner table. The other Miss Watts, she hadn't showed up yet. Somebody better fetch her. Mama came to the living room. Jubie, run tell your grandmother supper's ready. I knocked on the door to the garage apartment and Meemaw called out, Come on up, in her whiny old voice. Hey Meemaw, supper's ready. Why don't y'all begin without me? She was on the sofa, plaid blanket spread over her, exactly as we had left her, except for the half-empty carafe on the coffee table. We'd rather wait for you. Maybe you better bring me a tray. I'm worn out from traveling and climbing those stairs. I believe I'm too tired to just fix me a tray. I'm an old woman. Yes, ma'am. And not much food. Delicate appetite. When I walked into the dining room alone, Daddy said, Where's Mother? At the same time, Mama said, Well? Meemaw asked if we'd fix her a tray. She doesn't feel well. I do not believe this, Mama said. She told me the stairs were too much for her, I said. Her bedroom's on the second floor at home. Daddy pushed back his chair and got up. Is she sick? I knew she'd pull something, Mama said. She's old and tired. She's not pulling anything. She's only 67 and she has never liked me. You know it. Oh, come on. She never calls me by name. Have you noticed? Davy clinked his silver cup on the tray of his high chair. Stell looked down at her plate. Daddy stood in the den doorway holding his linen napkin. I really think I should go up and see. That's exactly what she wants. Mama's voice was sharp. There were tears in her eyes. Daddy threw his napkin on the buffet. I'd rather have a crust of bread in peace than a feast in strife. He stormed out. Where are you going? Mama called. in search of tranquility. The breezeway door slammed shut. Mary walked into the dining room. You want me to carry a tray to the other Miss Watts? Daddy's car door slammed. I don't care. Mama stood. I just don't care. She left the dining room. Oh, Lord, said Sal softly. Out in the street, Daddy's tires squealed as he turned onto Queens Road West. I looked at Mary. Meemaw said she didn't want much. Much? She went to the kitchen. I'm hungry, said Puddin'. Davy banged his high chair. I moved to Daddy's place and sliced the ham. Stell ladled pineapple sauce over the slices as I passed the plates around. I put a heaping spoonful of creamed corn on Puddin's plate, knowing how she loved it, and Stell dished out the Kentucky wonders that Mama had cooked, especially for Meemaw. We ate our supper by candlelight, droplets of water making tracks down the crystal goblets and pooling in the sterling coasters. The flames flickered when Mary walked through the dining room with a tray covered by a linen tea towel. That's it.